thedailymass.com. Experience the Roman Catholic Mass from historic St. Louis Cathedral every day on thedailymass.com. His love, anywhere in the world.
Good evening, I'm Sarah McDonald.
I'm Jason Angelette. Welcome to Issues in Faith.
Well, we are at a very challenging time in our nation's history, but especially in terms of our church.
Yeah, it's the ability to be Catholic, not just to seek the truth, but adhere to that truth in our society, not just at home or in some little part of our home, but to be able to live that out is really under attack.
It really is, and we have the opportunity to speak out about that right now. Health and Human Services, the federal government is ending a comment period on the Conscience Clause as part of the healthcare reform bill on Friday. So our viewers that are watching on Thursday night, you still have the opportunity to go and make a comment if you haven't already done so, so that people like Catholic Charities, organizations like Catholic Charities, the Catholic Church, will be able to live their faith and not provide controversial contraception, sterilization services through their health care, or not be required to do that.
It's a shame that it's very important, and it's a shame that society is coercing the way that we believe and the way that we live our faith out, and that's something that goes against the human person that we need to stand up for. And these are particular things that once they begin to do more of these, what else is left for us? That's
right. And Archbishop Dolan, who is the president of the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops, actually recently released a statement about DOMA, which is the Defense of Marriage Act. Obviously, the USCCB is doing whatever it can, asking people to contact their congresspeople to support DOMA as well, because again, here we go, trying to legislate morality, which is decidedly anti-Catholic. And so we need, as Catholics, to always stand up. And this is not an issue of the separation of church and state. And that's what people need to understand. This is not an issue of the separation of church and state, because there cannot be society, or Catholics cannot live in society without living out their faith. It is not separate.
And this is based in moral law. This is based in natural law. This is something that we can talk rationally to others and help them to see through statistics, through research, through studies, how important it is for us to remain consistent to the good of the human person, define what that good is in a language that allows people to help them understand our situation, our points, that those paths where it goes against the human person will lead us into destruction, will lead us into a demoralization of society and the breakdown of the society, which is based on family, which is based on marriage. So if this strikes at the heart of our country. You can't have a strong nation without protecting marriage and protecting family in the authentic way that it's meant to be.
Now, within these challenges, and we have a whole show to do tonight, but within these challenges we also have opportunities, because there are a lot of beautiful things happening in our church right now, one of which may not seem beautiful to us as we implement the changes, but the new Roman Missal is coming out, so we're moving to a more authentic translation of the Mass and bringing back the Bible back into Mass, a more predominant, more spiritual, more beautiful way. But we also have people who are, Scott Hahn, who we've talked about working so wonderfully locally. We have Brian Butler, who's teaching theology of the body on the high school and the middle school level. And nationally, later on we're going to do an interview with a woman who's writing a book about true, authentic womanhood. And those things are so important for us to get back to the roots of.
And to help us to understand our faith. So it's a great opportunity for all of us to learn more.
Definitely. Well, tonight we're going to be skipping our regular news and notes segment to give more time to the Archbishop. So tonight, Archbishop Gregory Aymond joins us to discuss an issue of growing importance in our nation, the translation of the new Roman Missal.
Archbishop, thank you so much for being with us.
You're welcome, Jason.
And today we're speaking about the new changes that will be coming November 27 to the Mass. So I guess the first question would be, what are we doing in the first place? Why are the changes happening in the first place?
Yeah, it's a very good question. And first of all, this goes back several years that this has been in the pipeline. Mm-hmm. And that's an important question. Why are we doing this in the first place? And I think it's obviously rooted in the fact that we are a universal church. Yeah. And we often say, no matter where we go in the world, it's the same Mass. And even though we may not understand the words, it's the same words. And as Rome began to look at, the universal church, there was also that realization that in some countries, and English-speaking countries was one of them, where the original Latin was more paraphrased instead of translated.
Wow, okay.
And so there was a desire on the part of the Congregation for Divine Worship in Rome that it be more universal throughout the whole world. And so this is an attempt to do that, and this is based on a document that's called Liturgicum Authenticum, the authentic liturgy, the authentic translation of the liturgy. So that's what started all this.
Wow.
And so now we're at a position where it is finished, and it will be implemented very soon.
So this isn't a matter of like somebody was wrong and then we got to go back and change it. It's just a matter of like just being more faithful to the translation.
That's right. I would say it's being more exact to the translation. And also, when a few decades ago, when these translations came out, several decades ago, when these translations came out, some of the biblical interpretations were taken out. For example, at communion, we say, "Lord, I'm not worthy that you should come to me, please, heal."
Right.
Well, the original was, "Lord, I'm not worthy that you should come unto my roof."
Right.
Say the word and I shall be healed. That's a scriptural quote.
Exactly.
And so, also in the scriptures, when the early apostles would say to people, "The Lord be with you," or
And
the equivalency of that, they would say, "And with your spirit."
Oh, okay, great.
Because it's not just "in with you," but it's within that core within you where God lives. I wish the very best, and I wish God's blessings for you. So those are some things that were not wrong, but they were more paraphrases instead of exact translations. And Rome says, we really need to be faithful to the original translation.
So if I'm understanding it, there's not like there's like these great changes that are taking place, is that correct?
Especially for the lay people. In fact, I have a card here, which there are many, many different companies that are putting them out, but they have the responses of the lay people that there is some change, and it's only 2 sides.
Right.
And they have in bold, and you can't really see it too well, but they have in bold the actual changes, and they are not that significant. I would say the greatest will be, and the more inconvenient will be for all of us to remember that in the last Sunday in November, which is right after Thanksgiving, when the priest says, "The Lord be with you," we will say, "And with your spirit."
And with your spirit.
The other changes are not that great, and we can get used to them. I think it's going to be a greater challenge or inconvenience for the priest, because the Eucharistic prayers, for example, are changed, and there are some, I wouldn't say significant, but there are many phrases that are changed in the Eucharistic prayers. Some would say, well, this is a terrible inconvenience, why are we doing this? I think the other side of this is the Eucharist is so important.
Yeah, you're right.
And we've been hearing the same words, one way or another, for decades. This is an opportunity to hear them anew, to hear them fresh, and to say, oh, okay, I know what it meant then, and I'm so used to hearing it, I didn't really listen.
Right.
So it's an opportunity, I think, for us to grow in a deeper appreciation and understanding of the Eucharist. In fact, beginning the first Sunday of Advent through the first Sunday of Advent of next year, we will declare in the Archdiocese of New Orleans a year of the Mass.
Wow.
So we will have all kinds of workshops and celebrations and so forth to bring us to a deeper understanding of the Eucharist. The Eucharist is who we are, as you know.
Yes, indeed.
It's truly, without the Eucharist, we are not Catholic.
The source and summit of our life.
That's right.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Now, this change, change is always difficult, I guess, wherever when you look at it. But how has the priests that you've spoken to, how have they been excited about it? There's some hesitations. What are their thoughts?
I think that the priests are very open and welcoming to this. I think as the date gets closer, the reality is setting in.
Right.
And I heard several of them say last week as we had our priest convocation, I really need to start looking at those.
Right.
I really need to. And the books will be out October 1st. They will be mailed out from the publishers. So it really is going to take time on our part as priests to look at them. So I think there's real acceptance. The hesitation is I have to start preparing.
Right.
Because most of us know all of those prayers by heart.
Yeah.
And so now to be able to, we're going to have to stick to the text more. And then within a couple of months, we'll know them by heart again.
I love what you said, though. It's an invitation for us to go deeper, because a lot of times we can say things and it can be routine. We can go, I know exactly what to say and this is what we've been saying. But it's an invitation to help us go deeper into the Mass and then to have the year of the Mass a year later on. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, it'll really help us, I think, come to a deeper appreciation of the real presence of Christ in Eucharist, and that the Mass is the liturgy of the Word. God speaks to us. He speaks His Word in the Scriptures. That Word becomes flesh in us, and then it moves us to the table that we receive the body and blood of Christ.
What's the saying? We pray as we believe as we live. So this is to bring us back to a greater faith, a greater living out of our faith. Right. So it's a beautiful thing.
And St. Augustine says too, very much related to that, he would say that in the Eucharist, when we receive the Eucharist, we must become what we receive.
Amen.
So we are given God's Word at Mass, and we're given the body and blood of Christ. We must become that Word for others. We must become the presence of Christ for other people.
To say that right before receiving, kind of in your heart, may I become what I receive.
Yeah.
Now, this again is going to be the last Sunday in November.
Right.
And what about if someone wants to learn more information about maybe some of the reasons why, or just workshops? Is that something that's going on?
Yeah, we have workshops consistently from now until then in the Archdiocese, and so you could go to our website to find out where those are, or if you go to the homepage for the Archdiocese, it'll give you also the Oracle, which is our weekly newsletter that tells where these are. Also, the USCCB, the Bishops' Conference, has many, many materials, and all of the translations are already online.
Oh, good.
So you can actually look at them and see some of the differences.
Well, Archbishop, thank you so much for being with us. Looking forward to the changes, and I got to remember November 27th. What's again? Maybe the peace be with you.
The Lord be with you.
Lord be with you,
and with your spirit.
And with your spirit. I'm going to work on that.
Work on that.
Thank you so much again.
Thanks, Jason.
God bless you.
Okay.
Hey, check this out.
It has a camera, it has wireless, it sends text messages.
And it could send me to jail.
In a 2008 study, it was estimated that 20% of teens have electronically sent nude or semi-nude pictures or videos of themselves.
Sending or receiving photos like these could result in child pornography charges and other consequences.
Parents, please take time to talk to your children about what they send and share with others.
For more information, visit www.archdiocese-no.org.
When it comes to your children, stay informed and stay involved.
I'm here today inside historic St. Louis Cathedral, a place where WLAE has broadcast the daily Mass for more than 25 years.
A recent PBS ruling ensures that this valuable service will continue on WLAE for those looking for daily inspiration, and for the many who are homebound or in our area hospitals who can't attend Mass. But in order to continue to provide the Mass every day, we need your financial support now more than ever. I'm asking you to please consider donating today. We have numerous partnership opportunities available. For as little as $32 a month, you can help fund the televising of the Daily Mass, a program that lifts the spirit and enriches the lives of so many of our viewers. And for a donation of $50 or more, we will send you this beautiful signed poster of St. Louis Cathedral as our gift. Please send your contributions to WLAE TV, 3330 North Causeway Boulevard, Metairie, Louisiana 7002, or to donate online, log on to WLAE.com and click on the picture of St. Louis Cathedral. For more information on partnership opportunities, call 504-866-7411.
At WLAE, we've worked hard to keep the Mass on the air. Now we need your financial support to keep it going. I know that you'll help us if you can. Thank you, and God bless.
Well, last week in our news segment, we briefly discussed the book Extreme Makeover by Teresa Tomeo. And tonight we're privileged to have her join us by phone to discuss the book. Thank you so much, Teresa, for being with us.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Well, Teresa, tell me, like I said, we introduced the book to our viewers last week, and it's about women in today's world. What inspired you to write this book?
Well, I think two things. Primarily my own experience as a cradle Catholic, someone who fell away from the faith and had a strong reversion, and I had basically a St. Paul experience, not only getting knocked off my high horse, but also having the scales fall off of my eyes regarding the whole situation with the culture and its attacks on women, and how I bought into many of the lies that the culture tells us that women have to be this way or that way, and buy into contraception and abortion and be pro-choice and a radical feminist and leave everything else behind but our own personal desires. And then secondly, hearing from other women who experience the same thing. And then finally, the research that I did for my first book, Noise, which is more of a general media book, I noticed that much of the influence coming from the media is targeted toward women, whether it's advertising, whether it's about our figures, whether it's about our facial appearance, whatever it may be. We are really the targets, and we're being more objectified and over-sexualized in many ways before. So those, three things: my experience, the experience of other women, and then just the research I've uncovered in doing my work as a media awareness presenter.
And this book is somewhat counter what society would have you believe. They would tell you in today's world women are more independent, they're more free, they're more equal with men. But then when you watch television, and I made a point to do this last night, all of the commercials are targeted at women aging, women getting bigger, women watching the figures. And so you're hitting on themes that are out there and people just are not paying attention to.
Well, I think it's a conflicting, almost a schizophrenic, phrenic message, as you said. Women have made a lot of strides, and the Church recognizes that. John Paul II, in his papal letter to women, which I talk about a great deal in Extreme Makeover, actually credits the women's movement for doing some things that needed to be done. They needed to address certain issues in terms of rights and voting rights and other issues of equality. But at the same time, it just took a wrong turn. And on the one end, you've got women who basically are acting like men behaving badly in terms of sexual promiscuity and accepting abortion and contraception. Now, on the other hand, you've got society also telling women that they have to be a size 2 and look and act a certain way. So it's a very confusing, conflicting message. And all of these, as you said, most of the commercials that are out there, whether it's TV, radio, print, or the Internet, are targeted toward women.
And, we're in a day and age where you do have Catholic mothers who are either making very strong sacrifices for their family to stay home, and that's a very difficult thing to do in today's economic times, or are having to go to work again because of the economy. And so you have women that have to take on, Catholic women who are very faithful, have to take on multiple roles. And it does become somewhat of a juggling act.
Well, I think it is a juggling act for all of us, and we all have to every day strive to do the best we can in the situation that we've been given. What's so great about being a woman in the Catholic Church is the Catholic Church doesn't have to say you have to be, either or. The Catholic Church talks about moderation. It talks about women's roles, of course, motherhood being the supreme role, but not just physical motherhood, spiritual motherhood. And what does that mean? Well, for me, for example, because I couldn't have children, my spiritual motherhood comes in my ministry. But I'm also a wife first. Actually, first, I'm a Christian. I'm a follower of Christ, but my husband is first, and then, my ministry and my work. So there's a number of things that we can do. The Church doesn't put limitations on that, and it has beautiful guidelines and instructions for us. But you're right, it is confusing, and that's the other reason I wrote this book, to get the women to stop, to slow down, and to say, okay, what does it mean to be a Catholic woman today in the 21st century? And I think they might be very, very surprised.
Well, and I've done a lot of research on your book, your website, look at Facebook. There are a lot of people who are very, very excited about this. But I want to hit on a point that you just made about being a wife first. And my co-host here, as our viewers know, works in faith and marriage ministry. And the Catholic Church, as you said, allows women to have so many options. But that grace that comes first from marriage is so important.
Well, it's interesting because marriage is meant to be a reflection of God's relationship with the Holy Trinity, of course. And then you have, of course, Jesus being the bridegroom and the church being the bride. And once we understand this beautiful image of marriage and what the church meant for marriage, and it changes everything. It changed my whole perspective because it ties in with everything else that the culture is dealing with. It ties in with the topics we just mentioned. This acceptance of contraception. We had, World Contraception Day just a few days ago.
Mm-hmm.
And this message that no, sex is the only thing we shouldn't control ourselves, on. We could tell everybody to control themselves with eating, to control themselves with drinking and tobacco and illegal drugs, but sex, no holds barred. But what that means in the context of a marriage and what it represents, and, especially with the relationship between Christ and His church and also the Holy Trinity. So it gives you a whole different perspective. And not just for married people, but I think for anybody who's Catholic and who grasps the beauty of it, it's a huge, huge thing to understand. And I go into great detail about that in the book.
And and I was going to ask, that was going to be my next question, is this is not just a book for married women or married men, it's for singles as well.
Yeah, and I'm trying to reach, I'm glad you brought that up, because I'm trying to reach a wide demographic. Now, obviously, I would love for women, as many women as possible, to read. I'm middle-aged, I'm 52. But I think this is easily accessible for girls in college and for women in their 60s and 70s. But also I think men should read it, especially single men, because they have been so emasculated and so attacked. Their heads are spinning. They don't know which way to turn because of what the culture has, how the culture portrays men, not just fathers and husbands, but men in general. It's been very, very negative. So I think this has a wide appeal. Obviously, my heart is, with this book, is for women because there's so many women that are struggling, and because we are so important in the scheme of things. God's plan for women is just incredible. But the biggest thing, Sarah, that I want people to get, everybody, but especially the women, is that you can't do anything without Christ. Jesus has got to be first in your life, and everything else will flow from that.
I couldn't say it better. My high school theme was Days Private David, God will provide, and I think that's been something that's led me, and again, it all goes back to Christ. Well, Teresa, I want to thank you so much for being with us this evening. I'm very much looking forward to actually getting to read the book. It's got so many good positive reviews, and I know a lot of people are also craving this message, so I want to thank you for making this your ministry and making it available.
Thanks, and if you could just let people know, it is available through my website at teresatomeo.com. Thanks so much.
You're very welcome. Again, for more information about Teresa and her book, you can go online to www.teresatomeo.com, and we'll be right back.
Hey, check this out.
It has a camera, it has wireless, it sends text messages.
And it could send me to jail.
In a 2008 study, it was estimated that 20% of teens have electronically sent nude or semi-nude pictures or videos of themselves.
Sending or receiving photos like these could result in child pornography charges and other consequences.
Parents, please take time to talk to your children about what they send and share with others.
For more information, visit www.archdiocese-no.org.
When it comes to your children, stay informed and stay involved.
I'm here today inside historic St. Louis Cathedral, a place where WLAE has broadcast the daily Mass for more than 25 years.
A recent PBS ruling ensures that this valuable service will continue on WLAE for those looking for daily inspiration, and for the many who are homebound or in our area hospitals who can't attend Mass. But in order to continue to provide the Mass every day, we need your financial support now more than ever. I'm asking you to please consider donating today. We have numerous partnership opportunities available. For as little as $32 a month, you can help fund the televising of the Daily Mass, a program that lifts the spirit and enriches the lives of so many of our viewers. And for a donation of $50 or more, we will send you this beautiful signed poster of St. Louis Cathedral as our gift. Please send your contributions to WLAE-TV, 3330 North Causeway Boulevard, Metairie, Louisiana 7002, or to donate online, log on to WLAE.com and click on the picture of St. Louis Cathedral. For more information on partnership opportunities, call 504-866-7411.
At WLAE, we've worked hard to keep the Mass on the air. Now we need your financial support to keep it going. I know that you'll help us if you can. Thank you, and God bless.
It can be hard being 100 years old, but one West Bank woman is making it look easy. She might not have made the Willard Scott Smucker's jar, but we have her on Issues in Faith. Janet Gross takes us to a party that comes once in 100 years.
It's picture day for Aline Decito-Salzman. Pictures with family, pictures with friends, pictures with cake. She's had a lot of pictures taken over the years, a century's worth.
Happy birthday, happy birthday. Aren't you excited?
I think she has made an impact on everyone's life that she meets. Just the way she acts, she has lived a Christian life, and it is definitely shown in the 100 years. A lot of people ask me, how does she live to be 100? And I definitely believe that it's her faith.
And so it's fitting that she's celebrating at her church, St. Cletus. In fact, her good friends here helped get her this present.
2011.
A birthday blessing from the Pope.
Blessing from the Holy Father. Okay?
And from all the well-wishers here, plenty of cards and presents, even a proclamation or two, or three.
Born September 23rd, 1911 in Dutchtown, Louisiana, on a sugarcane farm that was purchased by her parents through a homestead act.
And whereas Arlene is proud of her heritage, and she was raised on a sugarcane farm, rice plantation, and a strawberry farm.
She has lived her life by her mother's motto, peace at all costs, as Mrs. Aline Decito-Salzman Day in Jefferson Parish.
One very special day among so many other special days, celebrated with so many, many relatives.
Great aunt. So she's way away.
You do have to go back a ways to her childhood. She was one of 12 children. She remembers her dad sending strawberries to the president.
We had the first crate of strawberries, and Pop wanted Roosevelt to get it, so we sent it to him.
Strawberries were sweeter then, she remembers. And she remembers a lot. Her family has nicknamed her Funkin' Wagnalls after the encyclopedia.
And it's just strange when she talks about my grandfather and when she went to school and tells about my mother and her brothers. It's just a fun thing to talk with her because she remembers so much.
In 1920, I made my first communion in Prairieville.
You know, she's lived through the Great Depression, World Wars, and Katrina, and I think faith has definitely got us all through it.
Miss Aline's advice to anyone else who wants 100 candles on a cake?
They say you don't drink a lot of alcohol, you don't smoke, you don't just sit and eat, you get up and work, you know. That's what happened to me anyway.
That's what's happened so far, anyway.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Gotta be one of her favorites, even though she's heard it like 100 times already. I'm Janet Gross for Issues in Faith.
Miss Aline shows no signs of slowing down. Her family and friends are looking forward to her 101st party now.
And if you have a question or a story you would like to see on air, write to us at Issues in Faith, 3330 North Causeway Boulevard, Suite 345, Mary, Louisiana, 70002, or email us at questions@wlae.com. Plus, if you missed an episode, you can catch up online at www.archdiocese-no.org. And that's our program for this evening. For all of us at Issues in Faith, thanks for watching.
We'll be back next week. Hope you join us again soon. Until then, God bless.